share, and get guided with Guide Us TV.
We'll be back, right? You're watching Guide Us TV.
Get connected with Guide Us TV. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/guideustv1. Join us on Google+, plus.google.com/+guideustv. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/guideustv1. Find us on Flickr, flickr.com/photos/guideustv. And add us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/guideustv. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
We'll be back right after this. You're watching Guide Us TV. We'll be back.
Salam alaikum. I'm Yusuf Estes with really good news. But first, many people are hearing things about Islam, but they are not getting the right message. So the best time to get the right message out is right now. And we have the best way to do exactly that with Allah's support and your help. We've got our projects, our websites, satellite TV channels, and now we can reach every home on the planet, inshallah. Let's make that difference together. It's easy. And be my dawah partner.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Go ahead.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It. I am your brother Habib, where we're almost live. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brother Yusuf, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things tonight. I think something to do with the days of the week, but I'm not sure.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So you are exactly right. We're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things related to days in the year and days of the week, and a special day that's coming up next week, as a matter of fact. What do you think about that?
Yes, that would be interesting to talk about. So, what day of the week do we start with?
I think it is better to start with the days of the week, because in that way we know where they come from. What is Saturday? What is Friday? Do you fry fish on Friday, or how did we come up with these names?
Well, if you're a good Catholic, you do have fish on Friday. So yeah, you do fry fish on Friday. But no, that's not why it's called Friday.
Well, I think that we do have something called days of the week, but they're mispronounced. And the reason they are mispronounced is because of the English language. The English language didn't exist until 1066 AD. The English language we know today started in 1066 AD. And it wasn't really popular at that time. But today, all over the globe, people respect, at least they have an idea of what the English language is. And so what is the days of the week? Where did they come from, and how did they get so popular? I'm going to show you something, inshallah. This is right here. The Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay? Now that's what we're all familiar with. However, this is a mispronunciation of the name. The first one that we'll talk about is Sunday. Let's see if we can bring that up. Yeah. Sunday is pretty much the name of it is Sundag. Sundag. Because the word dag is from this word right here. Day. Okay. So, but what did people understand that to mean at that time? Let's put you and me together on the, okay. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I had to punch a bunch of buttons to get us here, but anyway, so what is Sunday? That is the day that people worshiped the sun. Exactly that. And this, the source. The source for this program is developed by IslamNewsroom.com. But it was ChatGPT that offered this information just yesterday. So, what is the source of the days of the week? And ChatGPT answered, these names of the day of the week have fascinating origins, primarily rooted in ancient cultures and languages. They don't tell you that particular one that was really behind all of this. The Catholic Church was in business for at least 300 years before they took over a sect of Christianity. And the Catholic Church had basically, you could worship any god you wanted as long as you worshiped the god of the Caesar, who was in power at the time. They took over that church. They took over Christianity. Anyway, so they had this feature because he worshiped the sun. He was the head of the cult, the Sol Invictus, which means the invisible sun. So he, or someone that worked for him, decided that this would be the first day of the week. Arbitrarily? Yeah. And it worked out because the last day of the week is the day that the worship was going on for the church, the Christian church, and they just had to move it up one day, and they said that is the Lord's Day. So that's how they came up with that. Anyway, it's really interesting because Sunag Day, Sunag Dag, is literally Sun's Day.
Well, when you think about it, you look at pictures of portraits of Jesus, you always see like this rays from him, and think about it as a sun behind him.
Yep.
That's why it's showing it that way. And you really reverse what Jesus is supposed to be, the Son of God, you get Sun God.
Sun God, yeah. Then
So that's another reason why they probably do this.
Because S-U-N and S-O-N are not the same word.
Yes, but they're playing with it, if you understand.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is interesting. And then the next day, many people can guess this after they hear the first one. So, Moon Day or Monday is named after the moon. Yeah. And Monagdag literally is Moon's Day, mirroring the Latin dies lunae, meaning the day of the sun. So, what about this one? Do you know anything about that? About the moon?
The moon, the worship of the moon?
Yeah.
Not much.
Because the sun goes down and there's nothing to worship. So these people would worship the moon, and then other people would worship the sun. And when the sun was up, some of the people would worship the sun. And then when the sun goes down and the moon comes up, they would reverse their worship. And they said, we got something to worship all the time, the moon and the sun. However, sometimes the moon does not appear. So they had to focus on something else on the nights when the sun went down and the moon didn't come up, because that is the way that Allah designed it. So that there's nothing in the sky at big time, but there are small little things that give off light called stars. And they thought it was a star. And well, we'll get to that at the very end of the program. So next one is Zeus Day. It's named after Tyr or Tewe, the Norse god of war and the sky. Tuesday means Tuesday, paralleling the Latin Deus Martis. The word Deus is meaning day, Deus Martis, named after Mars, the Roman god of war. Yeah, so they had something to worship on that night if they could see it, and that would be Mars. What do you think Wednesday is named for?
Wednesday.
Actually, it's named for Woden or Odin.
Odin. Okay.
Woden. Most people know Odin, the chief god in the Norse mythology. The Old English, Woden's Dag, means Woden's Day, similar to the Latin Deus Mercurni. Mercurni. No, there's no N in it. Deus Mercurni. Named for Mercury. Anyway, I'm not doing too good on the pronunciations of any of these. Anyway, it's named for Mercury. However, just to get into a little bit, Woden's Day is named for Woden, and that is the worship of the creation of Allah. Not worship of Allah, but worshiping the plants, trees, and all of the things that are static in the forest. So that's how they come up with worshiping the holly and the trees and I don't know if they worship the bugs, but they certainly worship the leaves and the trees. And some people today have, they say the tree huggers, they love the nature. And Mother Nature, this is coming from this same thing, Mother Nature. But there is no mother. There is only Allah that creates everything. Okay, so that
So there's no Mother Earth.
Yeah. Then we have Thor's Day, and I guess you can figure out what Thor is. The Norse god, thunder.
Yeah.
Thor translates Thor's Day, analogous to Deus Evois, named after Jupiter. Yeah? Now, what do we know about Thor? Well, he is the god of war. And you see this particular, I think, if you look at it, where is it?
Yeah, that way.
Yeah. If you look at it, you'll find that there's blood dripping off the sword. I don't know.
You can see that right up there.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, when you're looking at it too, it almost looks like a Roman.
That coincidentally, that is a Roman gladiator. That was one of the big things that they worshipped. Well, now the son of Woden was Farig, but this one says Farig or Freya is named for the goddess. Now, this is the only chance that women have to be equal, and they're not equal in number, but they do get a fair share of worship on that day. The goddess of love and fertility. The Old English Frigg Day means Frigg's Day, corresponding to Dies. By the way, if you don't know, if the Catholic Church uses this same word, Dies or Deus. Venus, named after Venus. They thought that was a star as well. All of these that are named after planets, they thought they were stars, big stars, but actually they're close planets, and that's why we see them so clearly. Anyway, now, what is the big deal? I can show you. Come on. Anyway, Saturday is named after Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture. The Old English Saturn's Dag translates to Saturn Day, directly from the Latin Deus Saturnum. Now, don't rely on my pronunciation of any of this because you'll be in trouble with the teacher. These gods are made up our week. Constantine was the head of the cult, and this is the end of this. Constantine was the head of the cult worshiping the sun. Could this be why the Roman Empire, when it looked at over a sect of Christians in Turkey, that was 325 AD in Nicaea, Turkey, forced Christians to change the day of worship from the Sabbath to Sunday. The Sabbath. If you remember this, I think that this is a good time to get into the worship of one God. Because if you know the commandments in Exodus chapter 2 of the Quran, Genesis, Exodus, and then chapter 20 of the book of Exodus, you'll find that it starts out with, I am the Lord your God that brought you out of the land of Egypt and the house of bondage. They were slaves, you know. You know no other God beside me. Beside me, there is no other God. Then is the first commandment. Thou shalt not make any other gods beside me. Clear. That is the Christian teaching, and it comes from the Jewish teaching. Both of the books of the Old Testament and the New Testament have been lost in the originals. We don't have an original. But we can go back, and from the Hebrew language, we can mainly get an idea of the construct of the time of Jesus, because there are some quotes from Jesus translated into English 1,000 years later, saying that he did not bring any new religion. He didn't bring any new commandments. He just endorsed the ones that were already there. And that's in Matthew 5:17, 18, and 19. And he uses the word, and I'm going to get off our subject right away, that translate is the least in the kingdom. And some people said that he named Paul right there because Pauline, the doctrine of Pauline, of Paul, is called the tiniest or the least, the very small. And they attributed that to his humbleness. But if you read the document of so-called Acts of the Apostles, you'll find that he's not really a humble person at all. Anyway, his idea is that he can't be forgiven other than just outside the law. He said something about, and when it comes to the law, he breaks the law. And he can't be forgiven. So he has to have Jesus die for him, and then that makes it all right. Did you know that?
I heard of that. And what I find really interesting when you look at the different Christian religions and the fact that they're basing their faith and their belief on what the Catholic Church did in regards to this doctrine. And so you begin to wonder that you're going further and further into a lie, if I can say it that way.
Well, I think you could say it any way you want to, but that it seems very accurate to me. However, the ones that are defending the status that they have today, they say, well, we're not Catholics. We're not Catholics. We're Protestants. Protestants. But do you know what the word Protestant means?
I'm glad you brought that up, because if you really think about it and what happened during this time, they were protesting. So it means to protest.
Yep, that's exactly right. They were protesting in the 1500s. They were protesting against the Catholic Church because Christianity was, at that time, for about 700 years, it was the Catholic Church. If you were any kind of a Christian, you belonged to the Christian Church, except there was a Greek Orthodox, a Russian Orthodox, and ones that were following Martin or Mark, the book of Mark, that had an old copy of that in Egypt. So, yeah. But
yeah, I wasn't sure where the Coptic Christians came in, but yeah.
Say it again.
The Coptic Christians.
Yeah. They have in the Coptic Christians and the Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, and there's one other. They have something that they call, that predates the takeover of the Romans of the by the Catholic Church. By the way, it used to be called the Roman Universal Church before they took over Christianity and really forced it on everybody. And it was, it's better because it's only one God, but three gods in one. And they came up with that in the 3rd century or 4th century, sorry. But that was the 300s. We call it the 4th century because at that time they had no zero and they couldn't come up with a zero. So anyway, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Any questions?
Any questions? I'm still wondering why the Protestant religion doesn't really understand their history.
Because they don't want to. They don't want to take the time and the effort to investigate and get the story straight. Because a lot of people leave the church without realizing what they're leaving. And sometimes they get in a hurry and walk out the door and they just say, I don't want to believe that anymore. But the Bible itself does not say that Jesus said anywhere that he is changing the law. Actually, he says the opposite of that in Matthew 5:17, 18, and 19. He says that, the opposite of that. And Paul is the one who comes after, in his own admission, he kills Stephen, or oversees the killing of Stephen, one of the big followers of Jesus. That really is a serious thing. So then he says on the road to Damascus, he was going to Damascus to kill more people, or at least imprison them and bring them back to the Holy Land. Anyway, he says he has a blinding light that comes on him, but nobody else saw it. Nobody else heard anything. In the same chapter in the Acts of the Apostles, he tells the story again and changes it. People heard it, but they didn't see anything. And then another time he changes it again, and everybody heard everything and saw everything, and it doesn't make sense. And then in the book of, I think it's in Romans, or was it? He says, if the lies I tell bring people to the religion, why do they, meaning the original apostles, the ones that saw Jesus and were around him, why do they persecute me? If the people that saw Jesus and were with him, and they are saying, you made mistakes, you made lies, so you're lying. What do you think? And he says that in the Bible. You can see it. You can see it clear. He is saying, why do they persecute me for my lies? What do you think about that?
What I think, I don't know if you really want to hear me say this, but when you look at this and you think to yourself that this man wasn't really Jewish, he was actually a Roman, following what they needed to put in the scriptures to show this narrative.
Well, to support that idea, he said it real clear. When I'm with the Romans, I am a Roman. And when I'm with the Jews, I am a Jew. And that's, wow. How can you be a Roman and a Jew at the same time? They have a different religion. They have different beliefs, and one is against the other. I don't know.
I don't know either. And then you look at the fact, and now this is the other thing, and I always find this fascinating, especially when you look at the back of a United States dollar bill and the symbolism that's there. And you begin to wonder, who do they mean by, the one God? In God we trust. Okay, what God is this that they're trusting in when you're seeing the pyramid with the eye? And the symbolism there doesn't point towards Allah. None whatsoever.
Let's see if we can get that up. Yeah. This is one specimen of the United States dollar, but it's, let's see if we can put that up. Yeah. The pyramid on the left side of this, and it has a light on top of it. What do you think about that?
Well, you got to think about it. There's an eye in that little piece, the very top piece of that.
Okay.
And when we see anything that has the one eye, we see it as Christians refer to as the Antichrist.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Freemasons?
A little bit.
You realize all this symbolism that's on the back of the dollar it's all symbolism for the Freemasons.
Actually, I found that that is not true.
How do you figure?
Well, number one, all of my family was in the Freemasons.
Oh,
You-
really?
Yeah. And that they have one rule that I was told: they can't divulge anything about their faith because they believe, and this is what I gleaned out of it, they believe in one God. And they have the Bible open to some place in the Old Testament. And anytime they have a meeting, they have the Bible right there featured on that, and they have it talking about the one God. And the obvious thing is that they cannot talk about their religion or their meetings or anything else. They can't. So people can make it up without fear of being contradicted. Yeah, make it up, make it up, make it up. Yeah. In the United States, they do not allow anybody with dark skin. They called them Negroes in that time frame that I was learning about that. But they did not allow them in to their clan or whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, to stand up for the truth, just the truth, and not be a part of whatever they are, we have to say that this it doesn't ring true because they said that to me. It's
Okay.
not true.
Well, that clarifies that. Do you think we should take a break and let people think about what?
Just gonna say that. So everybody stay tuned and stay guided with.
Guide Us TV.
All right. Guide Us TV, watched by many, loved by all. New Muslims, young Muslims, born Muslims, non-Muslims, all enjoy it. Guide Us TV, never ads, always free. Let's keep it free, no ads. Support and share, and get guided with Guide Us TV.
Get connected with Guide Us TV. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/guideustv1. Join us on Google Plus, plus.google.com/plusguideustv. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/guideustv1. Find us on Flickr, flickr.com/photos/guideustv. And add us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/guideustv. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV. Salam alaikum. I'm Yusuf Estes with really good news. But first, many people are hearing things about Islam, but they are not getting the right message. So the best time to get the right message out is right now. And we have the best way to do exactly that with Allah's support and your help. We've got our projects, our websites, satellite TV channels, and now we can reach every home on the planet, inshallah. Let's make that difference together. It's easy. And be my dawah partner.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It, where we are having a very interesting discussion and we're learning some truths about some things that people are talking about and not really telling the whole truth of what is being said. So with that, I'll pass it over to Brother Yusuf.
Yes, well, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. The truth will be self-evident. That's what Allah is telling us in the Quran, the translation of it. The truth will come and it will shatter the falsehood. Verily, the falsehood is bound to shatter and the truth will be self-evident. So this is one of the things people, they get away with it because there's nobody that can challenge them because they have a secrecy. And that is important to them. They started, I think, they claim they started at the time of Solomon, but I think that's an exaggeration. But I know that they started when the Catholics or the Christians wanted to take back the Holy Land. And they went down there and they started the Crusades. And then they did it again in when they interrogated the people and they started Spain mostly. That was 400 years later when they had the Inquisition. That was a real bad thing. And some of the knights, they called them knights, some of those didn't come back to England or to Europe. They switched and they used the money that they had gotten or the what they call it, the spoils of war. They used that to build their mini kingdoms up. And of those, there were some that really had an idea about the one God. And this is where I think the Knights Templar came from, which is an extension, one of the extensions of the Masons, the Freemasons. And then about 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago, they started something called the Knights. No, it was the Shriners. Yes, they started the Shriners about 100 years ago, a little more than that, and they started it in these people were on the ships. The story I was told, they were on ships like a vacation, and they were in the Mediterranean Sea and stopped at different places in what is now Algeria and all of that northern part of Africa.
Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt.
Yep, exactly. So this is something that they started with the Shriners, and they used Arabic names for all of their places. They had Shriners in every state. And most of the cities, the big cities, they had Shriners temples. the idea about that was, I'm glad you brought that up, about the dollar bill, because that flashed back in my mind. And
Well, this explains the reason why the Shriners wear the fez.
oh yeah,
Because this is
exactly
from
right.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea of the one God appealed to them. And they, you know what? They have, my father had a template that was given to him by the Shriners. And he posted it up on the wall, and it said something about the Quran, K-R-O-N, Koran. But it said something about, it was a quote from the Quran, not anything from the Bible, but it was a quote from the Quran in chapter 9, verse 6, I think it was. And it was saying, if they come to you and let them, if they come to you to learn about the religion, and it was talking about, I think, something to do with war, and if somebody puts down their swords or something like this, they want to know about the religion, let them come, and then peacefully let them leave and go back to where they are. Protect them. That's that's what I remember from it. Anyway, so yeah, they have a lot of things going for them, and I wish that the people would know more about that, but you can't know anything about it if you don't join them. And I'm not a joiner.
Well, if you join them, then you can't tell anything about them.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I'd be in the same problem that they have.
Right. So, but I do find that interesting. But still, when you're looking like in this history, right? And because Christians will say, oh, Islam is spread by the sword. But when you look at the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, and all these other things that was done under the whole idea of Christianity, the amount of people that were killed. And still, I mean, even afterwards, you got the Salem witch trials, you got different things, even in regards to countries in Europe, that people were being killed because of their religion. And so you begin to wonder, well, the amount of people was killed because of Christianity.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that I ran across, like you're talking about, and I was ashamed of it, because in the history of Texas being settled, actually it was stolen from Spain outright. They offered anybody that would come from the United States or anywhere in the world to settle the area that we call Texas now, because in the original there were Native Americans living there. They were called the Tejas. Tejas. That's where they get the word Texas from. Tejas Indians. Because the X is pronounced like a ha in Spanish. It's not Mexico, it's Mexico. Did you know that?
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, so the Spanish got that land and they figured that they owned it. The American natives, that we call them Indians, but they had a deal where they believed that all of the land belonged to Allah, which it does. And you didn't own it. You migrated to here or there or somewhere, and you put your teepee down or built your cabin there, you know, but you didn't own it. You didn't own the ground. So whenever these people came from other countries, different parts of the world, they had that idea and they said, well, you know, we're going to buy this. How are you going to buy something that belongs to God? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, give us your beads, your trinkets, and we'll take them, and you can do whatever you want with the land. But yeah, they didn't realize that they would have a problem going back to the land that they left, because that's forevermore they had always done that. Yeah, it was a really sad situation. Anyway, the Tejas were the friendly people. Yeah, the ones in Texas were called the Tejas Indians, which meant friendly. And that's why Texas is called, even today, the friendly state. Did you know that?
That I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania has the slogan, "You have a friend in PA." Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Well, you're in Canada, so
Well, and still, there's probably a lot of other Canadians that are going, well, we knew that, because a lot of Canadians follow like United States history, and they know different things about the United States, and sometimes more so than people in the States.
Yeah. So this is just a summation of what we're talking about tonight. The people that are in charge of something are usually there for a reason. Most of them are not the loving, giving people that we normally observe. They're really greedy and stingy. However, sometimes you get somebody in there that's really, really a person that's basically like an angel. And that is highly appreciated, but they're not appreciated by the others around them, because, you know, the light is shown here, and then it shows how dumb or bad these guys are here. So they like it to be balanced in their favor. Alhamdulillah. So anyway, we started out talking about the days of the week. And I think that it's important for us to have a discussion about the day coming up, an important day coming up that's called Halloween. What does that mean?
All Hallows Eve?
Yeah, you're close. Hallowed, which is mean religious or sacred. Sacred is a better translation of hallow. Hallow Eve. The night before, or before the saints come up out of their graves. And so this is the last chance for the evil ones, the demons, to go out and do all of their things. And then at midnight, that's when the saints come out of their graves. This is all made up. This is all entirely made up stuff, because anybody is in the grave, they stay there until the resurrection. And anybody that believes in the demons might be right, because there are characters that we don't see living right here on the planet Earth. They're called in Arabic the jinn. And do you know what? There's a famous story about that we use about every year. There's somebody resurfaces that story of a genie, Aladdin's magic lamp, and the genie who is inside of it. And we say genie, but means jinn. Did you know that?
Yeah, that I knew.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these things, right, and especially when you're thinking, oh, the saints, but see, the thing is, when you're looking at, and I'm going to point this out because I used to be Catholic, Catholics pray to saints. So basically, they're praying to the dead.
Yep, that is true. And they're telling us that we have run out of time. I want to give an update about the contest. The judging starts tomorrow, and it runs until they have decided about the 3 categories that we have. The winner of the children's 4 to 7, and the category of the 8 to 12, and the category of the 13 to 18. That all of those categories have to be judged, and then they will give us the final results. So stay tuned and stay guided with
Guide Us TV.
Yeah.
Guide Us TV, watched by many, loved by all. New Muslims, young Muslims, born Muslims, non-Muslims, all enjoy it. Guide Us TV, never ads, always free. Let's keep it free, no ads. Support and share, and get guided.